Hello, this is Mark Tucker, and welcome to the video Design a Bluesky Feed Generator for Daily Trending Hashtags. So in this video, we're going to go over just a general design of how you might approach this and the different components needed. We're not going to talk about any specific programming language, but we will talk a little bit about some of the pieces or components of app protocol that will help us to get to this point. Before we start, we want to see what we're expecting in the end. What we want to be able to do is create a bot that has its own feed. And this feed is going to be just individual posts that have hashtags. So one post per hashtag, and it will be sorted in order of those hashtags that are the most popular or the top hashtags, like top 10, top 20 hashtags for a given day. So for example, in this day, our sample fake bot called Daily Trending Hashtags has determined that three topics or three hashtags have been the most frequent. So that could be hashtag dev, hashtag unicorn, and hashtag pizza. So that's what we want to have the output be when we look at the feed that is our daily trending hashtags feed. On the right here is a sample post of what it looks like when we capture a create record for a post. We get the created at date and we get the text of what the post was. In this case, it just says this is a simple post with a hashtag, and it shows hashtag dev. But one of the nice things that App Protocol gives us is it splits up this text into facets and features. And one of those is called a rich text facet hashtag tag. And then it gives you what the tag was, which is the word dev. So it should be pretty easy to go ahead and, as we're capturing these records of posts being created, to capture those. Now, kind of the trick to what we're going to do here today is this might be a source of a record that includes a hashtag, but we're going to create a separate record in the bot's feed for hashtag dev, and it's going to, excuse me, and it's going to go ahead and list these hashtags in the order based on how popular they are that day. So we're going to jump into the design, talk about how we might approach that. And so we're just going to go ahead and jump in here. In previous posts and videos, I've shared my Bluesky developer guide that talks about a lot of these different concepts, talks about what the Firehose is and the data repo. It also shows a much simpler example of how this feed generator might work with a feed database, etc. There's an alternate video that you can watch as well that specifically gets into this, how to create a custom feed generator using TypeScript. And it focuses in on this portion of the feed generator. It's the part where it exposes an API that's required to work as a feed generator. There's an endpoint to return back the did document of the feed generator itself or the feed, and then also an endpoint called get feed skeleton that returns back a list of these post URIs, and they're in the format of @:/ the did of the person who created the post, the collection name, which is app.bluesky.feed.post, and then the record ID, which is a timestamp ID. And returning those back from this API then turns them into a series of posts that you're able to access. So that's the first part here. And in order for this feed generator to be recognized in the system, then the feed has to be associated with an account. So we're going to create a bot account, and we're going to run a script to publish that feed to the app.bluesky.feed.generator We're going to create a record underneath that collection, and that record then points to this API endpoint, and that's how this is the publish exposes the feed to others in Bluesky and other apps so that they can access the feed. And this feed generate API is the thing that returns back these APIs. So now, how do we get these post URIs returned back from the API, and how do we get these records created so that we have a post per hashtag? So that's what we're going to look at next. So on the Firehose, there's all kinds of create, update, delete type of messages for all the different collections, for all the different DIDs for each individual or account that's on the system. And that's posted on the Firehose, which is a WebSocket. Alternatively, you could use Jetstream, which is similar. But our feed generator service has a component part of it called the listener/processor. So the listener is going to listen on the WebSocket, which is the Firehose, and it's only going to listen for app.bluesky feed.post. So every post record for all DIDs is going to get processed by this processor. And that processor is going to first look to see if it's a create record, and it's also going to look to see if there's a hashtag. If it's not a create record, or if it's doesn't include a hashtag, then it's just going to skip and not do any processing for that. But let's say that it finds a record that has a hashtag, like hashtag dev. So we're going to then go ahead over to this database. Now, the feed database, we're just going to talk about kind of a little bit in the abstract. It could be a SQL database, it could be a NoSQL database, it could be something like Redis, not just specifically dictating how this is going to be stored, but there is some database that we're going to record some information. The first thing that it's going to do is it's going to check to see if there's a matching row in this hashtag post table. And if we imagine that this is empty to begin with, then it's not going to return anything, which means, oh, this is the very first time that we've encountered the dev hashtag. So we want to insert a row into this table for dev hashtag pointing to a record. Well, there's no post record that exists, because what we need to do is we need to create a post record and write it to the post collection for the bot account. And all it's going to do is be a record that has hashtag dev. And then once that gets saved, we will have the record ID of that post is, and that's going to get added here. So this table, never going to delete anything from this table. As new hashtags come in, it's just going to do a mapping between that hashtag and the post URI for the post that's being created and saved to the bot account. So over time, this is going to grow and grow, and we'll get a good representation of all the hashtags that are available or used, and there'll be a record or a post in the post collection for each of these hashtags. So that's part of the first part of it. The next thing that we need to do is check to see if there's any records stored for a given day. So notice the key includes the date, year, month, day, colon, and then the hashtag. So every day we're going to get a new hashtag count. And it's going to start off with 0, and then every new record that comes in, that is going to increment. And so throughout the time that we do this, then we'll go ahead and we'll have the count on any given day. Now, this date portion is really just going to be this created at date portion up to the T. So it's going to be a concatenation of that, colon, and whatever this is. And so one entry in that for every tag in that record. So that's what we have. Over time, you'll probably want to delete old records, especially if you're only showing the last 24 hours. You can run some sort of a cron job that would delete old records from this. Now, that is how we are generating the data. So we're listening to the WebSocket. The processor is going to worry about updating the database and creating a new post on our bot account as needed. And then that's just continually processing. So at the point in time where this get feed skeleton is called, then the feed generator needs to do a query to get the top 20, let's say, posts for a given day, sorted by count descending, and then use this hashtag to get what the post URI is. Now, could you keep this post URI and also write it out to this table as well? So then you only have to do one query as opposed to a join. Sure can. It really depends on how you want to implement the database. But this query is going to get us the top daily posts sorted by most highest count to lowest. And then we just have to return these post URIs to this, which is then going to show up in the feed. And then the nice thing about a feed with a hashtag in it is all you have to do is click on the hashtag itself, and it lets you then go and see records for that hashtag. So that's the architecture. It's looks a little complicated at first, but pretty straightforward overall. One of the there's some other videos, places that you can go that will help you. I have mentioned as well this Bluesky developer guide, and it gives you terms, talks about kind of the overall architecture, collections, data repos, the Firehose versus the Jetstream. And here is this simplified version, but basically there's a feed generator, there's a Firehose, that the generator listens to events off of the Firehose, decides which ones it's going to post to the feed, and when the get feed skeleton API call gets hit, then it reads those values from the database and returns them as posts to the user. Also, here are two videos that would help you. Here, one is the developer quick start to Bluesky app protocol and Jetstream. That does go over more details of that Bluesky developer guide and talk about some of the tools and other things that you could use to get started. And this other one, absolute minimum Bluesky feed generator, is a TypeScript specific example of how to create a feed generator. So hopefully that this will give you some ideas of how to approach this. And I had a good time thinking through this and how the architecture might be. And then I happened to find in the feed that there was also a trending hashtags and some trending feeds that already existed. So I'd be interested in talking with these feed generator creators to see how closely the architecture that I thought about maps to what they actually implemented. So wishing you all the best. Hopefully that you can get off and going on your own and do some more with Bluesky development and specifically feed generators. Talk to you later. Thanks.